I have many mental health diagnoses, and most of them I've gotten over, or I got the appropriate medication or the appropriate therapy, stuff like that. So I didn't have a lot of help when I was a kid, but I've advocated for myself, and I feel as though most of my problems in that arena have come to a close, except for one, and it is my by far my largest problem, and it's another thing I just wanted to reach out on YouTube because it's another thing that I don't know what to do. And that problem is schizoid personality disorder. And I've been diagnosed for about 2 years. I've suspected that I've had it for a lot longer than that. I'd say that it started between 13 and 14, and I don't know what to do. And I'll explain why, but this is the kind of stuff I have to deal with. I had an argument with my wife the other day, and it was bad argument for us, not necessarily a blowout argument, but a lot of things that were said that were not meant, and so on and so forth. But she's, being patient and deflecting my bullshit and getting down to the brass tacks of what's making me upset. And it came down to socialization again. We as a couple started with no friends. I had no friends, never wanted to have any. I basically just met her because I was trying to get any sort of social contact whatsoever, and it became romantic. She has a lot of broken relationships, a lot of people she needed to eject from her life, a lot of people that have died from drug overdose or suicide, stuff like that. But I am the one that found us friends because as a schizoid, I still understand how to go through the motions of trying to find people in your life. It's not as though I am not familiar with how to make friends. Okay, I can do that. So I found people, and a lot of them stuck, and now she has a lot of friends in a social life that she's satisfied with and preoccupies her and makes her grow and all that kind of stuff. But me, I am 100% still a peripheral element to all of this, and I don't know how to break through. And I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm capable of it. I see other autistic people. I have autism as well. I see them reaching out online and, establishing contacts with people and having fun being around other people. Can you imagine that? And I haven't done that. I'm a total lurker. Like I don't, I don't do a lot of things, but most of the things I don't do have to do with people. I'll get outside. I love nature. I love pets. I am on the side of my family, but they'll tell you they don't see much of me, you know? And it gets to the point where I will get pissy basically with her, and then she always knows you're going to start talking about how you don't like your friends again. You're going to badmouth them because you're anxious, and it's an escape mechanism to devalue other people so that you can be content with staying home and most likely just smoking weed and doing nothing. And that's not something that she wants me to do. It's not how someone would define progress as a person like this. But maybe I should go into what schizoid personality disorder is. Basically, it's loneritis. So you don't have any social relationships because you do not want them. It's not that you don't think that you're worthy or you're anxious or you think that people don't like you. It's because you don't care. And a lot of them do secretly pine for this kind of stuff where they understand that their life without people is not enviable to others, and they should probably make a change. And they just can't bridge that gap. And personality disorders are the way they are because they're thought to be endearing patterns that don't really change. There's not really an out for someone that has, avoidancy or is quasi-psychopathic or emotionally unstable. Like, they just kind of stay that way. And they can cope, but it's very difficult to procure employment. It's difficult to do anything. Schizoids are interesting because they do tend to find jobs and niches in other places. They can be good workers, but they're not necessarily good friends or good partners or good work relationships or anything like that because there's not a lot of depth to them. They like to be hollow. because that makes their life simpler. If they don't recognize their own personhood, then that's one less person to deal with, isn't it? And that can lead them to be chronically having feelings of being unreal. And that's something I struggle with immensely. I don't feel as though I'm real. I'm not convinced that the person in the mirror is there. I don't like the feeling that other people, when they're around me, I just think that they're machines. They're machines that want something from me. And it's gross. And I just, it is deeply seated because probably because just there was not a lot of contact, emotionally significant contact between me and other people in my life when I was a kid. There's just not a lot of depth to my childhood. I did stuff, I was loved. And we weren't, scrapped for cash or anything. There wasn't a lot of instability. My parents stayed together. But it just didn't have any depth of connection with anyone. And it just becomes your comfort zone. So then when you realize that I can't hold down jobs that have any sort of social element because I can't pretend. I can't hold down friendships because it gets to the point where they see through me and then there's nothing I can do to stop the realization that, oh, Mike doesn't want to be around me really. He's not really there. And my relationship is really kind of, if schizoids have a friend at all, it's usually someone who's also schizoid or strange in other ways. And sometimes that's called the union of two eccentricities. And that's definitely me and my wife. So I'm weird, she's weird, we're weird together, and that's awesome. But she really is worried about my long-term success and my ability to mask myself. More masking. Like that's all I do is mask my autism, my ADHD, my Tourette's. Like I can never be myself. And I have a creative spark. I like to create. I write. I write on Medium. I'll put my stuff in the description. And it's always being squeezed out of me by all of these social obligations and these considerations that have to do with the state of the world, or existentialism is a landmine for people with schizoid personality disorder because it just highlights the apparent emptiness of everything. And they find that emptiness reflected in themselves. And it's not, it just seems so complete. Like it really is the checkmate of my life that the world around me will not allow me to be myself. And I just feel like my options are running out. And that fight that I had with my wife, she reassured me that she's going to stick with me. And she understands my problems. And she knows that I'm trying. And all that kind of stuff. But schizoid personality disorder is like, it's irreversible. I can't feel towards the world in the way that people need me to in order to not to be perceived as strange. And I am strange. Like it just, you get what I'm saying? It's real. It's real. And no matter who comes to me, my mother or my therapist or anyone, and says, why are you like this? And I say, I don't know how to be anything else. And I'm starting not to give a shit. Okay, and I think that maybe this video wasn't that great, but I think there needs to be a lot of portraits of schizoids out there so people can get a clear indication as to what this disorder really is like, so that if they have someone in their life who is like this, they're going to require a lot of accommodations. It's not a simple problem. It's not something like, oh, we drag him out of his room every once in a while. The person that you care for, if you do care for them, or maybe you know them, or something like that, they are a ball of antimatter. I don't know, negative space. They're not you're tempted to say that they're not a person because of how different they are. But I suggest that you research about schizoid personality disorder because it is very fascinating. and they don't tend to end up in therapy. There's not a lot of effective treatment for them. There's not a lot of research. So if you are a loner, it might be true in your life that no one's coming to help you. And that definitely feels like what I'm dealing with now. The world's not coming for me, and I'm not reaching out to the world. So what am I doing?